Well, this month of July, if you haven't noticed, has a common theme. But we've been dancing with Mother Nature a lot. Let's do some fishing.
From your parents, and I thought, wow, if I could take this in a shot right now, I don't think that we could work this out on the terrace. I don't know if it's fair, but I thought, how could I let you fall by yourself while I'm wasted with someone else? If we go down, then we go down together. They'll say you could do anything, they'll say that I was clever. If we go down, then we go down together. We'll get away with everything, let's show them we are better. We were staying in Paris.
There's a reason why we're on a boat and we're not down in the water swimming. And that's because I'm not a very good swimmer. Borderline can't swim, but either way, it really doesn't matter. But I understand that down there, it's not probably really safe for me. That's being self-aware. You ever heard that term of self-awareness? People say it all the time, like, I'll be self-aware. Don't do this, don't do that. Growing up, I never knew what it was. I never really paid that much attention to it. But as I started this channel, I started to realize what self-awareness really meant. Let me tell you this. This might be one of the most important videos that I make, because self-awareness is so important. Because if you can't figure out what self-awareness is, you're never going to be able to find your purpose. You're never going to find out what you're really good at. You're never going to find out what your talents are, and that's why it's so important to take some time to try to figure out what it is. Self-awareness is really easy, I promise. It's not that difficult. It's probably a lot easier to figure out what self-awareness is than it is for me to take a plunge into that water and try to swim. All self-awareness really is just understanding what you're good at and what you're not good at. It's not rocket science by any means. And there's a lot of things that I am good at. I'm good at being very empathetic. I understand where people are coming from. I can relate with them very easily. I'm very good at speaking. I enjoy it. I'm good at seeing the big picture in things. I'm really good at being optimistic. I deal with failure really well. I'm really good at taking the positive things out of failure and moving forward and understanding kind of what that failure has taught me, and I try to apply that to a lot of things, you know, in my life as I move forward. And then there's a lot of things I'm not good at. You know, I'm not great at math. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed by any means. Not the best speller. You know, I'm not the best employee, you know, in the organization that I work at either. You know, there's things I'm just not good at. And then there's a lot of things that I need to improve on, and one of them is facing fear. I think on a daily basis I struggle with that. There's a lot of things I want to do, and those things are usually things that I'm afraid of, and I'm still working on that. You know, I'm still trying to take that step to kind of get over that. I also need to be more consistent. I think that's something I need to work on. There's, you know, weeks where I'm really consistent, and then there's weeks where I'm not so consistent. I think that's an area of improvement that I need to work on as well. I know these things, you know, I know what I'm good at, I know what I'm not good at, and I know what I need improvement on because I'm self-aware. I understand, you know, the things that I'm good at, I'm not good at, and things that I need to be improved on. I think when you're trying to find self-awareness and trying to figure out what you are good at and what you're not good at and things that you need to improve on, I think you really need to listen to yourself. Only you know you better than anybody else in this world. And yeah, you might be close with your family and friends and things like that, but realistically, they don't spend every minute of every day with you. You know, only you do that. And you know, as you grow and as you get older, you spend so much time with yourself. You really know yourself best. Not your family, not your friends or anything along those lines. It's you. And you need to be realistic and transparent with yourself and kind of figure out what you are good at, what are things that you suck at, and what are things that you honestly need to improve on. And a good way to try to figure out, you know, who you are as a person is to stop watching all the fucking shit on TV, all this shit on Facebook and trying to emulate people and trying to be like this and trying to be like that. I get it. I think it's great that we all have role models and things along those lines, but realistically, we're not those people. I think as a society, we get so caught up in wanting to be like this person or that person because they have this and that, and the only reason why those people are where they are in life at that point is because they're them. They are being who they are. You know, I think the biggest piece of advice I can give you is be you. I think there's a lot of us out there that lie to ourselves on a daily basis. We keep telling ourselves that we're this and we're that, when realistically, that's not who we are as people, because we're trying so hard to be like someone else. You know, be you. You have your strengths. You were born and you have strengths that were given to you. Use them. You know, play to your strengths. Don't try to be somebody else. Stop lying to yourself and saying I'm this and I'm that when that's not really you. So I'm telling you about self-awareness and how it relates to you, and finding out and understanding what you're good at, and I think more importantly is actually accepting what you're not good at. You know, I think we spend so much time, you know, trying to figure out like what you're really good at. I think it's just as important to take a step back and be like, hey, like, I'm just not that good at some shit. That's completely fine, because by using the process of elimination, by finding out what we're not good at, it eventually can lead us down a path to find out what we are good at. So I think that's why it's just as important to understand what you're not good at as it is to find out what you really are good at. So I'm gonna give you 3 pieces of advice on how to help you find self-awareness. Now, I just said that these 3 tips or 3 steps might help you find self-awareness. I'm not saying that they are going to find your self-awareness. So there's a difference there. The first step is to use your failures and your shortcomings as an advantage. You know, they're there for a reason. They're going to help you find out what you're not good at. The second step is finding what your strengths are. Find out what you like to do. Find out what you're naturally good at. You know, this whole channel is created to help you find your purpose and live a life that you want to live. You know, find your strengths, understand what you're good at. And then the third step is, once you identify what those strengths are, go all in on those fuckers. Use them to your advantage. If you're naturally good at them, go do it. You know, there's so many people that are naturally gifted at athletics, basketball, soccer. They go and they just go practice and practice and practice because they're naturally good at it. And that's why you see them in the NBA. That's why you see them playing, you know, professional soccer in Europe and making tons of money and being successful. They understood what they were naturally good at, and they put time and effort to practice that craft, and that's why that they're at the top of their game. So I think those 3 things can really help you find your self-awareness. I don't know if they will directly find your self-awareness, but they will certainly help.